To create the virtual machine, I'll use the VM player, the VMware player. I already downloaded the image. It is on the local computer. So when you create, go to the directory on the local computer where the ISO image has been downloaded. Select it. You can use it to create the virtual machine. So this is the directory where the VM files will be saved. You can choose to put the files together, adjust the volume, or save it in splitted files. And from here, you can further set the virtual machine configurations, the CPU, network, and everything can be set from here. So pressing the finish, we load up the virtual machine, but it's a long process, so I pre-installed the virtual machine already. So I'm going to be working from the pre-installed one and play virtual machine. I'm signing in with the credential for the user I created while installing the virtual machine. So I'm going to open up the terminal, be managing the virtual machine from the terminal. The terminal is booting up now. So to reboot, we'll update the OS, authenticate with the password. So everything is already up to date. I did the update earlier. It takes a lot of time, so I did the update earlier. Now I'm going to configure basic settings on the VM. So assuring the interface to be configured for networking. To show the interface, I'll configure the IPv4, the gateway, the DNS. I'll turn the connection up to ensure that the VM has basic network configurations. So adding all the parameters now. This is the host name. So this is the interface to be configured. The ENS 160. That is the interface you are going to be adding all the network configurations to. Include the interface name in the command to specify where the command is going to be executed. Add the IP. And the subnet. So next we go for the gateway. After the gateway, we go for the DNS. Then you can turn the method to manual to override the default configuration that comes with the VM. All the commands we run now. So I'm using Google DNS as the default DNS server. Set the method to manual. So power up the connection, and now it is successful. So to check the configurations, we can see the IP, subnets, everything is now in the is now on the interface and it is powered up. Status is up. So now to verify the DNS to ensure that both name servers that we configured is there. So both are already configured and working. So everything is well set now. We can move forward to installing some basic packages and continuing. So the first thing we are attempting to install is the OpenSSH demo and the server, the remote connection. So we authenticate with the user password that was created. Okay, so everything is already up to date and running on the VM already. The next thing to do is to enable the SSH daemon. It is enabled now. So let's verify the status of the daemon by running this command. Okay, now we can see that the status is enabled, actively running, and everything is okay with the daemon. So there's no issue on there. So now to generate the key, a RSA key for the access, run this command. Go through the prompts to enable. Okay, now the key has been generated. This is the key that will be used for access now. So just to test, run the SSH command with the username and the IP that was previously assigned to the VM, and see if the command run. And here we are, everything is good. So the next thing to do is to add in the SSH to implement some configurations that are in accordance with best practice, and we further secure the SSH daemon and disable unauthorized login and disable some login pattern that are quite unsafe. So I'm editing the SSH daemon config file in the etc directory by filtering for keywords, the permit root login. I'm also going to filter for password authentication and public key authentication. The permit root login, I'm going to set it to no. I'll set password authentication also to no. I'll set public key authentication to yes. So in order to preserve the instructions, I'm going to add a line according to best practices. I'm going to add a line below and implement my change there. So now I've been set to no. Move on to the next one. So I'll add a line and implement my configuration there. And for the final one, which is the pub key, I'm also going to add a line. Now that everything has been added, I'm going to save the file. Now everything is there. So now I'm trying to verify if all my changes has been implemented. So I'm going to use the grep tool to search inside the file and display the current status of the configurations I just changed to verify that all the changes has been implemented. So I'm searching the etc directory for the SSH daemon config file. That is the file I'm going to search through. And here we can see the matching results, what was there and what I changed. They are all appearing in this search results. So which shows that everything is okay. So I'm going to enforce SElinux, the security for Linux. I will ensure that it is enforcing to better secure the VM. And as you can see, the SElinux is already on enforcing. So there's nothing to do here. We just go back to our terminal and we can verify this by running this get enforce command. And we can see it is enforcing. So SElinux is already implemented by default on this VM. So now to disable some unnecessary services that might be eating up processing power and memory. So the postfix service is not existing on this VM, so there's nothing to disable there. Go to the next one, the Avail daemon. Okay, now the Avail daemon has been disabled. Now to verify if it is actually disabled, running this command to verify that the Avail daemon has been disabled. And it is disabled. So I want to set on max to 0 to 7 to change that permission by default. I'm going to edit the Etsy profile file. That is where I will implement the default permission. So now we are here. I'm just going to add the umask 0 to 7 at the bottom of the file. So I'll save the file and back to the terminal. So implement the change in the terminal. So the configuration will be saved in the shell. And now it's saved. So now to verify, you see 0 to 7 is already implemented. So now the next thing is to further secure our VM by ensuring there's no exec and no SUID in the temp folder. So first, I want to back up the fstab file before implementing my configurations in them. So now that has been backed up. Now to edit the current file to implement the no exec and no SUID. I open the fstab file in Etsy directory. I'm going to add a line to implement the changes. So I go to a new line and enter the command. So now save the file, back to terminal. So we run the remount to enact the changes. Now it has been implemented. So now we've implemented it. So to confirm, running this command, we can see that no SELB and no exec has been implemented in the temp folder. So now we to install the audits. So we can audit the system and implement some login. Okay, the demo is already installed. So enable the audit demo. Check the status. See, everything is up and running. Now to add a few rules to audit, adding a few watch rules. We're going to create this file and implement the rules in them in the file. We implement the rules in the directory. So now I will implement password login, the shadow login, and the SSH config file login to know when anybody makes changes to the SSH config file. Implementing the rules. Okay, now save the file. Now I'll implement the rule. I'll load the rule. Now they've been loaded. So now to display the rules I just created, and here they are. So now to install and implement Firewall, start by using the DNF package installer to install the Firewall. It's installing. So now the Firewall is installed. So we enable the Firewall. We authenticate with the user's password. And now it has been enabled. So the next thing is to check the status of the Firewall. So to open the Firewall ports for web, for HTTP and HTTPS traffic, I'm going to implement some firewall rules so that the VM will be exposed to the web and can accept connection on HTTP and HTTPS. And it has gone through. So for the next one, we will load the firewall daemon. So now the firewall has been fully implemented and the VM is now well configured, hardened, and is up and running.